want you to do, my friends, is I want you to imagine a world where the U.S. military cannot recruit enough people to fulfill its ranks because our pal, Pete Hegseth, I'm going to call him Comrade Pete, is making the military just absolutely unappealing for the vast majority of the American population. So I'm a Marine Corps vet, and I'm watching Pete Hegseth do so much damage to military recruitment than any foreign power could ever do. And here's the thing. This might be the best news that the American left has had in years. Stick around this hour, and I will tell you exactly why.
We heard here today was not a speech for the pundit class or the journalist class or even the generals and admirals in that room. I think it was a speech for the warrior class. And he spoke about the warrior class a lot in his book, on his show, and he's building that military. And by warrior class, he means the few families across this country and the same towns that have, since we become an all-volunteer force, have consistently bore the brunt and the sacrifice, especially in the post-9/11 era, of that service. And I think he's speaking directly to them. And these are the 65% of the veteran population that voted for the Trump ban.
I think it's great, Pete. I think, honestly, I will go this far. I think everything Pete Hegseth is doing is wonderful. Wonderful for my cause as an anti-war vet and my cause as an American who wants to see the American empire retract. Wonderful. Because the idea that he is saying is for the all-volunteer force who sends their sons and daughters to, the military or whatever. These people, this guy talking right now, and also Pete Hegseth, I'm going to be a little less flippant, but now I'm giving you the real. They do not understand how the military works. Okay? They think military is action movies. They think Call of Duty. They think it's a bunch of, killers with the American flag on their name tapes, right? That's not what the military is. The military is, and as a Marine Corps vet, I know this extensively, 99 to 03, 0121, personnel admin. Marine Corps is not made up of guys in force recon, scout snipers. It's made up of guys like me who show up 0830 after PT, go to their office, turn on their computers, grab their coffee cup, take a sip, get mad that they're at work, and start answering emails. That's what the military is. That's where we are. And so that Pete Hegseth does not understand that. And the quickest way to cripple the military is to fill it with the dumbest of, and God bless, like, I don't mean this to say this about infantry guys, at least in the Marine Corps. The infantry guys who were in the Marine Corps that I knew, salt of the earth guys. The dumb Marines, the rock Marines, dumbest guys who scored low in the ASVAB. But because those guys were actual killers, they had no ego. Those are the guys I could get along with. But the Marine Corps is not, and the armed forces in general are not full of those guys. It's full of administrative, logistic guys like me. And so the quickest way to destroy the military and to end United States colonization and to end our empire is to get rid of guys like me, to make it unappealing for smart people, brown people, black people. There's a reason why we have recruiting stations overseas to recruit in our colonies, like Puerto Rico, like American Samoa, like that, because we need to hit our numbers. We need to hit our recruiting numbers. The best way to not do that is to make people of color not want to join, to make women not want to join, and smart people not want to join. And Pete Hegseth is doing that as we speak. It's beautiful. For those of you who say, well, what happens if our recruiting numbers are down and our recruiting numbers are down and now we go back to pre-Vietnam era and we institute the draft? Fantastic. I tell you, I joke with my co-host from Good Morning Comrade podcast. I've said this to him on many occasions. If I was running for president, I would run as a, socialist, leftist, whatever Bernie Sanders is, as a sock dam. I am way to the left of him. I am a tiny bit to the right of Che Guevara, right? I would run as that, and I would say, my first day in office, you know what I do when I get my pen out and I do the Donald Trump thing of signing executive orders? My first executive order is I bring back the draft. And you're like, well, Lumin, that's crazy. How can you call yourself the leftist and you want to bring back the draft? This is easy. This is easy. The draft, by having an all-volunteer force right now, all it's doing is offloading our evil, offloading our imperial evil onto the poorest and the most marginalized people in our country, creating a literal warrior caste. I want the draft to return. I hope that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump bury recruiting numbers and this actually happens. I really do. Because if that happens, the reason why we don't have the draft now is not because the United States government is so magnanimous and so thoughtful to be like, well, nobody should have to serve. No, it's because the closest we ever came to an actual revolution in this country was over the Vietnam War and young people refusing to go fight in an unjust offensive war for natural resources, and also to have a proxy state against our enemy, China. That's why we did it. So they said, oh man, these kids aren't playing. They're ready to burn the country to the ground. We better get rid of this draft. And so we went to selective service, which is still the draft, but that's a whole nother topic. That's why they did it. Not because they were doing us a solid. It's because for the first time since 1776, since George Washington was the first president, the United States people terrified. The people had the government on the run. So they created a condition to offload that evil onto the poorest and most marginalized. We call it the poverty draft for a reason, folks. We didn't let black people join the armed forces in World War II because America was becoming racially progressive. We did it because we needed bodies. We didn't let women join the armed forces because we were like, hooray for the ladies. Sisters are doing it for themselves. Hooray feminism. We did it because we needed the bodies. We don't let Sikhs have head wraps in the U.S. Armed Forces because we're just so respective of religion. We did it because they can fog up a mirror. They can man a desk. They can man a rifle. They can drive a tank. They can fly a plane. We don't let trans people or queer people in the armed forces for the same reason. We're not the pro-gay military. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? The military is not woke and gay because they want to be woke and gay. They're woke and gay because they need to hit recruitment numbers. They need anybody who can fog up a mirror and get a minimum score on the ASVAB. I'm telling you right now, if furries wanted to join the Marine Corps and the armed forces in general, all four branches, I'm leaving the coasties out of this because I got too much love for them. But they want to join all four branches. If furries wanted to do that, and their thing was, hey, you got to let us wear our fursonas. You got to let us somehow represent our fursonas, but we're also war fighters. There was enough kids that did that. I'm telling you, there'd be furries in the military yesterday. So when you take all the woke and gayness out of it, it's DEI or die. And we've chosen to die. Comrade Hegseth, he's almost acting like he's some kind of a sleeper agent from, Antifa Command by doing this. Comrade Pete, man, there's no other way. Like, either he's the dumbest, drunkest man on earth, which that's most likely Occam's razor, or he's a sleeper agent for Antifa. Because you only talk greasy like this if you do not care about the United States military recruiting numbers. And you only talk greasy like this if you want to crash those numbers so hard that we have to reinstitute the draft. And that would bring a new American. All of a sudden, if the draft came back tonight, that's why I said my first act as president, President Lumin, I would reinstitute the draft. All of a sudden, all these people who are apolitical in this country, and there's no deferment. There ain't no, your daddy was this. There ain't no, I'm in college. There ain't no, I've got a job that supports the war effort. There's none of that. We catch you running to Canada, Mexico, we're going to get you. Because here's what it is. All of a sudden, all these apolitical Andes, all these, if you're too online like I am, these Asmongold's of the world who want to sit behind their desk, and stream on Twitch and act tough, talking about, base, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. The only shot they've ever heard fired in anger is from damn Call of Duty. All of a sudden, they would get real interested in geopolitics. They would get real interested in the United States colonial project. And they would want to shut it down because they'd understand that if we go to war with anybody in the world, this whole thing, we're going to invade Iran. We're going to put boots on the ground here. We're going to put boots on the ground in Venezuela. All of a sudden, the Asmongold's of the world of fighting age, and this is, I would increase not even just fighting age. I would put the age restriction. It would be from 18 to 60. Because you know why? A 60-year-old can sit behind a desk and they can do logistics work. Free up a rifle for a young man or woman to go get in the fight. Because I want you invested in this. I want you to be like, man, these wars that they want to send me on ain't right. Like, man, maybe we should protest this. Maybe I should pay more attention when it's election time. Maybe, and if they push us too far, we might have a revolution. That's the world that we need to live in. Thanks for making it all the way to the end with me. We're a small channel, but we're growing fast. Please go ahead and subscribe here on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on Twitch. We also have a Patreon set up, Lumincast at Patreon, where we have exclusive rewards already in the works, already made, I should say, not in the works, for members. Yeah, and also Lumincast on Twitch. Again, thank you guys so much. Give it a share, give it a like, give it a follow. You all are the best, and you make this operation work.